The morning sun shone brightly over the small town of Pine Creek, Montana. Jack West stepped out onto his porch, breathing in the fresh mountain air. At 52 years old, Jack still had the strong build of the Marine he once was. His short, gray hair and weathered face told stories of battles fought long ago in distant lands. "Come on, Rusty. Time for our walk," he called back into the house. A golden retriever bounded out the door, his tail wagging with excitement. Rusty was 7 years old and had been Jack's loyal companion since he was a puppy. The dog's amber eyes sparkled with joy as he looked up at his human friend. Jack clipped a leash to Rusty's collar. "Ready, boy? Let's go." The pair walked down the dirt road leading away from Jack's cabin. Pine trees lined both sides and birds sang their morning songs. It was a perfect day, or so it seemed. "Beautiful morning, isn't it, Rusty?" Jack smiled. As the dog happily trotted beside him, suddenly a shadow passed over them. Jack looked up, squinting against the sun. At first he thought it was a cloud, but clouds didn't move that fast. And clouds weren't shaped like giant metal dishes. "What the hell?" he muttered. The shadow grew larger and darker. Other people in Pine Creek noticed it too. Car alarms started going off. People stepped out of their homes, pointing at the sky. With open mouths, a massive spaceship hovered over the town. It was like nothing Jack had ever seen. Not in real life. Not in movies. Not even in his wildest dreams. The ship was at least a mile wide, with a dark metallic surface that reflected the sunlight in strange patterns. Rusty whined and pressed against Jack's leg. Jack patted the dog's head. "It's okay, boy, we're okay." But were they? Jack wasn't so sure. All across the world, similar ships appeared over major cities. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. Everywhere, people looked up to see the alien vessels hanging in the sky like silent threats. Inside the main ship hovering over North America, Commander Zarthul stood on the bridge, his yellow eyes narrowed, as he studied the view screens. He was tall, over 7 feet, with gray-green scaled skin and a ridge of spines running from the top of his head down his back. His uniform was black with red markings that showed his high rank in the Rexian. "Military, status report," he demanded, his voice deep and gravelly. His second-in-command, Officer Krell, approached with a data pad. Krell was smaller than Zarthul, with lighter-colored scales and fewer spines. "All ships are in position, Commander," Krell reported. "We have coverage over all major human population centers. Our translators are ready to broadcast your message." Zarthul nodded. "What about their defenses?" "Primitive," Krell said with what passed for a smile among Vrexians. "Their weapons could not even scratch our outer shields. They have nuclear capabilities, but our jammers have disabled their launch systems." "And what of these beasts we've detected?" Zarthul asked. "The ones they keep close to them." Krell brought up images on the main screen: dogs, cats, horses, and other domestic animals. "Our intelligence suggests these are war beasts, Commander. The humans have bred them for various combat purposes over thousands of years. Some are scouts, some are trackers, some are attack units." Zarthul studied the images with interest. In Vrexian culture, no animal was kept unless it served a direct purpose. The idea of an animal companion was foreign to them. In their harsh world, other species were either threats, food, or tools. "These dogs concern me the most," Zarthul said, pointing to images of various breeds. "Look how they keep them close, even in their sleeping quarters. They must be their most elite warriors." Krell nodded in agreement. "The larger ones appear to be frontline attack units. The smaller ones might be infiltration specialists or have other specialized functions." Zarthul made his decision. "We will demand they demonstrate the capabilities of these war beasts. When they see our superior technology can defeat even their most fearsome companions, they will understand resistance is pointless." Back on Earth, governments were in chaos. The President of the United States huddled with her advisors in a secure bunker deep beneath the White House. "What do we know about them?" she demanded. General Betty Adams, the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, shook her head. "Almost nothing, Madam President. They appeared out of nowhere. Our satellites didn't detect them until they were already in our atmosphere. They've jammed all our missile guidance systems and knocked out half our communications. Do we have any contact? The president asked. As if in answer to her question, every electronic device on Earth, televisions, radios, phones, computers, suddenly displayed the same image. Commander Zarthul's reptilian face. People of Earth, the alien's voice boomed in perfect English, though his mouth movements didn't quite match the words. I am Commander Zarthul of the Vrexian Empire. Your world is now under our control. In Pine Creek, Jack had returned home and was watching the broadcast on his old television. Rusty sat beside him on the couch, sensing his human's tension. We have studied your civilization, Zarthul continued. You are technologically inferior, but have shown resourcefulness. Most interesting are your war beasts that you keep as companions. Jack glanced at Rusty in confusion. War beasts? To demonstrate our power and the futility of resistance, we challenge your champion to face me in combat. They may bring their most fearsome beast. If your champion can defeat me, we will leave your world in peace. If they fail, your surrender will be immediate and total. The alien commander's yellow eyes seemed to stare directly into Jack's living room. You have 24 hours to present your champion. The location has been transmitted to your world leaders. As the broadcast ended, something strange happened. A beam of light shot down from the ship above Pine Creek, hitting Jack's cabin directly. His television screen changed to show a message. Human Jack West, you have been selected. Jack stared at the screen in disbelief. What the hell? He muttered. For the second time that day, Rusty whined and put his head on Jack's lap. Jack scratched behind the dog's ears automatically, his mind racing. Why him? He was nobody special, just a retired Marine living a quiet life in the mountains. His phone rang. The caller ID showed a number he didn't recognize. Hello? He answered, cautiously. Mr. West? A woman's voice said. This is Director Olivia Gray from the National Security Agency. Please stay where you are. A team is on the way to your location. What's going on? Jack demanded. Why was my name on that broadcast? We're not sure, Director Gray admitted. But it appears the aliens have randomly selected you as Earth's champion. Their ship used some kind of scanning technology and locked onto your location specifically. Jack looked down at Rusty, who gazed back with trusting eyes. And what's this about war beasts? They don't mean pets, do they? There was a pause on the other end of the line. We believe they do, Mr. West. They seem to have misinterpreted the relationship between humans and domesticated animals. They think our pets are weapons or combat companions. Jack almost laughed, despite the gravity of the situation. So they want me to fight their commander, and they want Rusty to fight, what? Some alien monster? We don't know yet, Director Gray said. But helicopters will be at your location in 20 minutes. Please pack essential items and be ready for extraction. As Jack hung up the phone, he looked into Rusty's gentle eyes. Well, boy, he said, scratching the dog behind his ears. Looks like we've got quite an adventure ahead of us. Rusty wagged his tail, blissfully unaware that the fate of humanity might rest on his furry shoulders. Director Olivia Gray paced back and forth in the underground command center. The walls were lined with screens showing news broadcasts from around the world. Every channel was talking about the alien ships. People were scared, and some cities had already seen panic and looting. This is a nightmare, Olivia muttered, pushing her short black hair away from her face. At 45, she had dealt with many crises in her career, but nothing like this. Our fate depends on a random man from Montana and his pet dog? Her assistant, Paul Wilson, nodded grimly. His glasses reflected the glow from his computer screen. Yes, ma'am. The aliens somehow selected Jack West specifically. Their targeting beam locked onto his house. If we try to switch him with someone else, they'll know right away. Olivia stopped pacing and stared at the main screen. It showed a satellite image of Jack's cabin with the alien ship hovering above it. What do we know about him? Paul pulled up a file. Jack West, age 52, former Marine, served for 20 years. 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq. Honorable discharge 8 years ago. No family. Lives alone with his dog, Rusty. A retired Marine, Olivia said thoughtfully. Well, that's something at least. What about the dog? Paul looked confused. The dog? It's just a golden retriever, ma'am. 7 years old. Regular pet, as far as we know. Olivia shook her head. These aliens think our pets are weapons. They're expecting some kind of battle-trained war beast. We need to figure out how to handle this misunderstanding before it gets us all killed. The sound of helicopter blades filled the air as 2 military choppers approached Jack's cabin. Jack stood on his porch, a small duffel bag at his feet. Rusty sat beside him, watching the helicopters with curious eyes. As the first helicopter landed in the clearing in front of his house, Jack put his hand on Rusty's head. Stay calm, boy. We're going to be okay. The helicopter door slid open and a woman in an Air Force uniform jumped out. She ducked under the still spinning blades and jogged over to Jack. Mr. West, I'm Captain Kelly Brown, she shouted over the noise. We need to get you and your dog to a secure location right away. Jack nodded and picked up his bag. Come on, Rusty. The dog happily followed Jack to the helicopter. Unlike most dogs, Rusty didn't seem scared of the loud noise or the strong wind. He jumped into the helicopter when Jack told him to and sat calmly on the floor as they strapped in. Captain Brown looked impressed. Well-trained dog you've got there, sir. Jack smiled and patted Rusty's head. He's a good boy. Not sure why those aliens think he's some kind of war beast, though. That's what we need to figure out, Captain Brown said as the helicopter lifted off. 3 hours later, Jack and Rusty arrived at a secret military base in Wyoming. They were taken to a conference room where Olivia Gray and several military officers waited. Mr. West, Olivia said, standing to shake his hand. Thank you for coming. I understand this situation is bizarre, to say the least. Jack shook her hand. That's putting it mildly, Director Gray. 1 minute I'm taking my dog for a walk, the next I'm supposedly Earth's champion against an alien invasion. A general with gray hair and a stern face spoke up. We need to get you prepared for the meeting. Tomorrow, the aliens have set the location at a field just outside of Billings. Prepared how? Jack asked. I don't think there's a training manual for fighting alien commanders. We don't want you to fight if possible, Olivia explained. Our goal is peaceful communication. The aliens seem to have some serious misunderstandings about humans and our relationship with animals. Jack looked down at Rusty, who had found a comfortable spot under the conference table and was now sleeping peacefully. You mean they really think he's some kind of weapon? A scientist with a tablet stepped forward. We've analyzed their broadcast. Based on their language and the way they referred to war beasts, they seem to believe that pets on Earth are actually combat animals bred for warfare. Jack couldn't help but laugh. Rusty's idea of warfare is fighting with his chew toy. This misunderstanding might actually help us, Olivia said. If they're expecting some fearsome creature and see a friendly, well-behaved dog instead, it might open up a dialogue. Meanwhile, aboard the Vrexian flagship, Commander Zarthul was meeting with his science officer Krell to review their intelligence on Earth's war beasts. Show me what we know about these dogs again, Zarthul ordered. Krell brought up holographic images in the center of the command room. We've identified several subspecies of the animal called dog. They appear to be the most widely deployed combat creatures on the planet. The images showed different breeds: German shepherds guarding buildings, border collies herding sheep, bloodhounds following scent trails, and even small dogs alerting their owners to visitors. Note how they've modified the base animal for different tactical purposes, Krell continued. Some are bred for strength, some for speed, some for sensory capabilities. Zarthul studied the images with interest. And this human we've selected, what kind of war beast does he command? Krell brought up an image captured by their sensors. It showed Jack and Rusty walking along a forest path. A mid-sized variety, with golden fur. Our analysis suggests it's a multi-purpose unit, not specialized for any particular combat role but adaptable to various situations. Interesting strategy, Zarthul mused. The humans show unexpected sophistication in their biological engineering. There's something else, Commander, Krell said hesitantly. Our deep scans indicate these creatures produce chemicals in their brains similar to the bonding hormones in our own species. It appears there may be some form of emotional connection between the humans and their war beasts. Zarthul's eyes widened in surprise. They form attachments to their weapons? How strange. Perhaps it's a control mechanism. Perhaps, Krell agreed. But it's unlike anything we've seen on other conquered worlds. Zarthul turned away from the images. Prepare the landing shuttle for tomorrow's meeting. I want our most impressive warriors as my guard. The humans must understand our technological and physical superiority. Back at the military base, Jack was getting a crash course in first contact diplomacy. Experts in communication, body language, and international relations took turns giving him advice. Speak clearly and calmly, one expert said. Don't make sudden movements, added another. Try to find common ground, a third suggested. Jack listened politely, but after an hour he held up his hand. Folks, I appreciate all this, but I think you're overthinking it. I'm just a regular guy with a friendly dog. Maybe that's exactly what we need. Someone normal to show these aliens that humans aren't whatever they think we are. Olivia, who had been watching silently, suddenly smiled. You know what? You might be right, Mr. West. Sometimes the simplest approach is best. That night, Jack stayed in a room on the base. Rusty curled up on the bed beside him, snoring softly. Jack stared at the ceiling, unable to sleep. What do you think, boy? He whispered, scratching Rusty behind the ears. Ready to save the world tomorrow? Rusty opened one eye, thumped his tail twice, and went back to sleep. Jack smiled. Yeah, me too. We'll just be ourselves. That's all we can do. As dawn approached, Jack finally drifted off to sleep, his hand resting on his dog's warm back. Tomorrow, the fate of humanity might rest in their hands, and pause. The morning of the meeting arrived with clear blue skies. The location was a large empty field outside of Billings, Montana. Military vehicles formed a perimeter around the area, and soldiers stood at attention, though they had been ordered not to display weapons openly. World leaders watched via secure video feeds, their faces tense with worry. Jack West stood in the center of the field wearing his old Marine uniform. It still fit well enough, though it was a bit tight around the middle. Rusty sat beside him, his tail sweeping the grass as he looked around with interest at all the people and activity. Director Olivia Gray approached Jack, her face serious. Remember, Mr. West, the goal is peaceful communication. Try to help them understand that Rusty is a companion, not a weapon. Jack nodded. I got it. Be myself, be calm, and show them that humans and dogs are friends, not war partners. Exactly, Olivia said. She looked down at Rusty, who was now sniffing her shoes with interest. Despite the serious situation, she couldn't help smiling. He really is just a regular friendly dog, isn't he? The friendliest, Jack agreed, patting Rusty's head. Never met a stranger he didn't like. A soldier ran up to them. Director Gray, our radar shows the alien shuttle entering Earth's atmosphere, ETA 5 minutes. Olivia took a deep breath. This is it. Good luck, Mr. West. The entire planet is counting on you. No pressure, Jack muttered as she walked away. He knelt down beside Rusty. Okay, boy. Time for your best behavior. No jumping on the aliens, no matter how exciting they smell. Rusty licked Jack's face, completely unaware of the historic moment they were about to be part of. A rumbling sound filled the air as a dark shape appeared in the sky above. The alien shuttle was smaller than the mothership, but still impressive, about the size of a commercial airplane, with a sleek, metallic surface that seemed to shift colors in the sunlight. The shuttle descended slowly, landing gear extending from its underside. It touched down about 100 yards from where Jack stood, sending up a cloud of dust and making the ground shake slightly. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then, with a hiss of hydraulics, a ramp extended from the shuttle's side. Smoke billowed out dramatically. Jack wondered if that was necessary for the shuttle to function or if the aliens just had a flair for the theatrical. Commander Zarthul appeared at the top of the ramp. Even from a distance, Jack could see that the alien was tall and imposing. His scaled skin caught the sunlight, and the ridge of spines along his head gave him a fierce appearance. He wore what looked like armor, black with red markings, and carried something that Jack assumed was a weapon, though it was holstered at his side. 4 more aliens followed him down the ramp. They were similar to Zarthul but smaller, with lighter-colored scales. They carried staff-like objects that hummed with energy. Guards, Jack murmured to himself. Makes sense. Rusty watched the aliens with his head tilted to one side, his tail still wagging gently. He didn't seem afraid, just curious. The alien group stopped about 20 feet away from Jack and Rusty. Up close, Zarthul was even more impressive. He stood at least 7 feet tall with muscular arms and legs. His yellow eyes studied Jack intently. Human, the alien commander said, his voice deep and surprisingly clear. I am Commander Zarthul of the Vrexian Empire. We have come to claim your world. Jack straightened his back, calling on his years of military discipline. I'm Jack West. This is Rusty. We're here to talk, not to fight. Zarthul's eyes narrowed. Talk? The challenge has been issued. You will demonstrate the capabilities of your war beast, and I will show you the superiority of Vrexian technology. Jack glanced at Olivia, who stood at the edge of the field with the other officials. She nodded encouragingly. There seems to be a misunderstanding, Jack said, turning back to Zarthul. Rusty isn't a war beast, he's a dog, a pet, a companion. The alien commander looked confused. Companion, you mean servant? No, Jack shook his head. Friend. We keep dogs and other animals because we enjoy their company. They're not weapons or tools. Zarthul turned to one of his officers. The one Jack would later learn was named Krell, and they exchanged words in their own language. It sounded like clicks and hisses to Jack's ears. Turning back, Zarthul said, Our intelligence indicates these dogs serve as guards, trackers, and attack units. We have observed them protecting human territories and assisting in hunting. Well, yes, Jack admitted. Some dogs do those things, but mostly because they enjoy working with us, not because we force them to. And many dogs, like Rusty here, are just pets. They live with us because we care about each other. Zarthul seemed genuinely puzzled by this concept. You form emotional attachments to a different species? For what purpose? Jack wasn't sure how to explain something that seemed so natural to him. Not everything needs a purpose, Commander. Some things are valuable just because they bring joy. While they were talking, Rusty had been sitting patiently. But now, perhaps bored with the conversation, he stood up and took a step toward the Yao aliens. The reaction was immediate. The 4 guards raised their staff weapons, pointing them at Rusty. Zarthul himself took a step back, his hand moving to the weapon at his side. Whoa! Jack held up his hands. He's just being friendly, he's not attacking. The beast approaches without command, Zarthul said, his voice tense. Control your weapon, human. He's not a weapon, Jack said firmly. Rusty, sit. Rusty immediately sat down, looking up at Jack with trusting eyes. See? Jack said. He's trained, but not for fighting. He listens because we've built a relationship based on trust and affection. Zarthul seemed fascinated by this demonstration of control. You command it without force, I ask, and he chooses to listen, Jack corrected. Rusty, shake. Rusty lifted his paw, offering it to Jack. Jack took it gently and shook it, then turned to Zarthul. Would you like to try? He's very gentle. The alien commander looked shocked at the suggestion. Touch the beast? Is this a trap? Jack laughed. No trap, just an introduction. In our culture, shaking hands or paws is a greeting between friends. After a moment of hesitation, Zarthul motioned for his guards to lower their weapons. Slowly, he extended one clawed hand toward Rusty. What must I do? He asked, uncertainty clear in his voice. Just hold out your hand, palm down. Jack instructed. He'll do the rest. With obvious caution, Zarthul did as Jack suggested. Rusty looked at the alien hand with interest, then gently placed his paw on it. The alien commander stood frozen, clearly amazed by this simple contact. It doesn't attack. It offers greeting? That's right, Jack said with a smile. That's what friends do. For the first time, Zarthul's fierce expression softened. This concept of friend between different species, it is unknown among the Rexian Empire. All other life forms are either threats, food, or tools. Maybe it's time for that to change, Jack suggested. Krell approached, scanning Rusty with a handheld device. Commander, readings indicate the creature's brain is producing bonding hormones. It appears to genuinely enjoy this interaction. Zarthul looked from Rusty to Jack, then back to Rusty. Fascinating. Perhaps there is more to learn about humans than we anticipated. As the tension began to ease, Rusty did what dogs do best. He flopped onto his back, exposing his belly for scratches, his tongue lolling out in a doggy smile. The alien guards raised their weapons again, alarmed by the sudden movement. "What is it doing?" Zarthul demanded. "Why does it expose its vulnerable areas?" Jack laughed. "He wants you to rub his belly. It's a sign of complete trust. In dog language, he's saying he feels safe with you." Trust? Zarthul repeated the word as if it were completely new to him. "The beast trusts me? We have just met." "That's the great thing about dogs," Jack said, kneeling down to give Rusty the belly rubs he was asking for. "They're excellent judges of character, and they're willing to give everyone a chance." Hesitantly, Zarthul knelt down beside Jack. Following Jack's example, he slowly reached out and placed his clawed hand on Rusty's fur. Rusty's tail wagged faster, and he made a contented sound. "He likes you," Jack said. For the first time, something like a smile appeared on Zarthul's reptilian face. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "we have much to learn from each other, human Jack West." On the edge of the field, Director Gray and her team watched in amazement as the fearsome alien commander petted a golden retriever. "Well, I'll be damned," one general whispered. The fate of Earth might just have been decided by a dog wanting belly rubs. The meeting in the field continued for another hour. As the initial tension eased, both sides became more comfortable. Director Gray and her team joined Jack, while Commander Zarthul's officers gathered around their leader. Rusty moved happily between the groups, accepting pets from humans and aliens alike. "I still don't fully understand," Zarthul said, watching as one of his officers cautiously stroked Rusty's back. "You keep these animals in your homes, feed them, care for them, and receive no practical benefit?" Jack smiled. "Well, there are some practical benefits. Dogs can guard homes, help find lost people, or assist people with disabilities. But mostly, we keep them because they make us happy. They give us companionship and love." "Love." Zarthul repeated the word as if tasting it. "This concept is underdeveloped in Vrexian culture. Our society values strength, conquest, and practical utility." Director Gray stepped forward. "Commander, perhaps this is an opportunity for both our species to learn from each other. You have amazing technology and a powerful society. We humans have developed different kinds of strengths: emotional bonds, cooperation with other species, finding value in things beyond just their usefulness." Zarthul seemed to consider this an interesting perspective. "In our 1,000-year history of space exploration, we have conquered many worlds but never encountered a species that forms attachments to other life forms as you do." Krell, who had been scanning Rusty with various devices, looked up excitedly. "Commander, these readings are fascinating. The canine's brain structure shows evidence of coevolution with humans over thousands of years. They've developed specific neural pathways that respond to human facial expressions and voice tones." "You mean they've evolved specifically to understand us better?" Jack asked. "And you them," Krell replied, showing genuine scientific enthusiasm. "Our scans show your brain releases oxytocin, a bonding hormone, when you interact with the canine. The same happens in the canine's brain when it interacts with you. You have literally evolved to care for each other." Zarthul looked at Jack with new respect. "Your species has achieved biological engineering without technology. Impressive." Jack laughed. "We didn't exactly plan it. Humans and dogs just started living together thousands of years ago, and we both changed as a result. The alien commander's expression became thoughtful. Perhaps there is wisdom in this approach. The Vrexian Empire has always sought to dominate nature through technology and force. We have never considered cooperation with other species. As they talked, Rusty decided it was time for some entertainment. He spotted a stick on the ground and picked it up, bringing it to Jack with an expectant look. "What is the canine doing now?" Zarthul asked, watching curiously. Jack took the stick. "He wants to play fetch. It's a game we play together." He turned to Rusty. "Ready, boy?" Rusty's whole body wiggled with excitement, his eyes locked on the stick. Jack threw the stick across the field. Rusty bolted after it, running at full speed, his golden fur shining in the sunlight. "Such speed," one of the alien guards commented, sounding impressed. Rusty returned with the stick, dropped it at Jack's feet, and backed up, ready for another throw. "Would you like to try?" Jack offered the stick to Zarthul. The alien commander looked uncertain. "This is a ritual between you?" "It's a game," Jack explained. "It's fun, for both of us." Zarthul took the stick awkwardly in his clawed hand. Following Jack's example, he threw it across the field. The stick flew much farther than when Jack had thrown it. The alien was clearly stronger than a human. Rusty didn't mind the extra distance. He raced after the stick, grabbed it, and ran back to Zarthul, dropping it at the alien's feet. "He brought it to me," Zarthul said, sounding amazed. "Not to his human." "Because you threw it," Jack explained. "He's including you in the game. That's his way of being friendly." Zarthul bent down and picked up the stick again. This time he threw it with obvious enjoyment. As Rusty raced off again, something remarkable happened. The fearsome alien commander laughed. It was a strange sound, more like a hissing growl than a human laugh, but the joy in it was unmistakable. Director Gray nudged Jack. "I think you—" And Rusty just achieved more for interspecies diplomacy than 1,000 official meetings could have. After several rounds of fetch, they all sat on the grass to continue their discussion. Rusty flopped down between Jack and Zarthul, panting happily from his exercise. "Commander," Director Gray said, "what were your plans for Earth before today?" Zarthul answered honestly. "Conquest. Resource extraction. Perhaps using humans as labor. It is what we have always done." "And now?" she asked. The alien commander looked at Rusty, who had fallen asleep in the sun. "Now, I am uncertain. Your world has shown me concepts I had not considered. This relationship between species. It suggests possibilities beyond conquest." "Like what?" Jack asked. "Alliance, perhaps," Zarthul said slowly. "Exchange of knowledge and culture. The Vrexian Empire has technology you would find useful. And, clearly, your species has wisdom my people could benefit from." Krell, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Commander, imagine if we could develop such bonds with species on other worlds. Instead of spending resources on conquest and control, we could gain allies. It would be efficient." Zarthul nodded. "A practical observation, Krell. As always." He turned to Director Gray. "I must consult with the Imperial Council. This encounter has not proceeded as expected, and our standard protocols do not apply." "We understand," Director Gray said. "Would you like to continue these discussions tomorrow?" "Yes," Zarthul agreed. "And I would like to learn more about these dogs and other companion animals. For scientific purposes, of course." Jack smiled, seeing through the excuse. The tough alien commander had been charmed by Rusty, just as so many humans were. As the meeting ended and the aliens prepared to return to their shuttle, Zarthul approached Jack privately. "Human Jack West," he said, his voice lowered. "Your beast Rusty. He has shown me something important today, something that has been missing in Vrexian culture for thousands of years." "What's that?" Jack asked. "Joy without purpose," Zarthul replied. "Play without gain, affection without reason." He looked almost embarrassed to admit it. "I enjoyed throwing the stick." Jack grinned. "That's what dogs do best. They remind us to enjoy the simple things." As the alien shuttle took off, returning to the mothership, Director Gray stood beside Jack. They watched the ship become a small dot in the sky. "Well, Mr. West, it seems your dog may have just saved Earth from invasion," she said. Jack patted Rusty's head. The dog looked up at him with adoring eyes. "He's a good boy." "The best," Director Gray agreed. "I think we're going to need both of you tomorrow. The commander seems to have taken a liking to Rusty, and we need to build on that." "Goodwill. We'll be ready," Jack said. "Though Rusty might need extra treats. Diplomacy is hungry work." As they walked back to the waiting vehicles, Jack thought about the strange turn his life had taken. Yesterday, he was just a retired Marine living quietly in Montana. Today, he and his dog were at the center of humanity's first contact with an alien civilization, and all because the aliens had mistaken a friendly golden retriever for a fearsome war beast. Life was full of surprises. News of the meeting spread quickly around the world. Videos of the alien commander playing fetch with a golden retriever went viral on the internet. People who had been panicking just days before were now sharing memes and jokes about dogs saving Earth. Meanwhile, aboard the Vrexian mothership, Commander Zarthul called an emergency meeting with his officers. The large meeting room had a circular table where 12 Vrexian leaders sat, their scaled faces showing various degrees of confusion and concern. "You played a throwing game with a primitive Earth creature?" one officer asked, clearly disapproving. Zarthul stood tall, his yellow eyes scanning the room. "I did. And in doing so, I learned something that changes everything we thought we knew about humans." He nodded to Krell, who activated a holographic display in the center of the table. Images of humans with various animals appeared. People, walking dogs, riding horses, petting cats, feeding birds. "Humans have developed relationships with many species on their planet," Krell explained. "Not relationships of master and slave or predator and prey, but of mutual benefit and emotional attachment." "Emotional attachment to other species?" another officer scoffed. "What possible advantage could that provide?" Zarthul leaned forward. "That is exactly the question I asked, and the answer is surprising. Through these relationships, humans have gained abilities they would not have had alone." Krell continued the presentation, showing police dogs finding lost people, guide dogs helping the blind, horses carrying humans across difficult terrain, birds delivering messages. "But most importantly," Zarthul said, "these relationships have shaped human thinking. They see value in cooperation rather than just conquest. They understand perspectives different from their own." He paused, looking around the table. "In all our conquests across 1,000 worlds, we have never encountered a species that formed bonds with other life forms as humans do. It suggests a type of strength we have not considered." "Strength?" the head of military operations asked. "How is emotional attachment a strength?" "It allows them to combine different abilities," Zarthul explained, "to see value in diversity, rather than just power. And it has made them happy." The word hung in the air. Happiness was not a concept often discussed in Vrexian war councils. "I propose," Zarthul continued, "that instead of conquering Earth, we establish a diplomatic relationship, an alliance. We have much to learn from them, and they from us." After hours of debate, the council finally agreed. The Vrexian Empire would, for the first time in its history, seek alliance rather than conquest. The next morning, Jack woke up in his temporary quarters at the military base. Rusty was already awake, wagging his tail as Jack opened his eyes. "Morning, buddy," Jack said, scratching behind Rusty's ears. "Ready for another day of saving the world?" There was a knock at the door. Jack opened it to find Director Gray looking unusually cheerful. "Good news, Mr. West," she said. "The aliens have sent a message. They want to establish a formal alliance." "With Earth," Jack grinned. "Well, how about that? Looks like Rusty's charm worked on them." "They specifically requested that you and Rusty be present for the signing ceremony," Director Gray added. "It seems you've made quite an impression on Commander Zarthul." 2 hours later, Jack stood in the same field as before, but now it was transformed. A large tent had been set up with tables, chairs, and even refreshments. World leaders and Important officials had flown in from around the globe. News cameras captured every moment. The Rexian shuttle landed once again, but this time there was no tension in the air, just excitement. Commander Zarthul emerged, followed by not just 4 guards, but a delegation of 12 Rexians of various ranks, and they brought gifts. "Human Jack West," Zarthul said formally, approaching Jack. "The Rexian Empire wishes to present these tokens of friendship to you and your companion." One of the Rexians stepped forward, carrying what looked like a collar made of shimmering metal. Another held what appeared to be a fancy stick. "For Rusty," Zarthul explained, "a health monitor that will alert you to any medical issues before they become serious. It will extend his lifespan by approximately 40%. Jack's eyes widened. The gift of more years with Rusty was more precious than anything else they could have offered. "And this," Zarthul continued, holding up the stick, "is a toy made from a special material that will clean his teeth and provide nutrients as he chews it. Also, it will always return when thrown, so he never loses it." Jack laughed. "A self-returning stick? You really do understand what makes a dog happy." The formal ceremony began. Leaders from around the world signed the historic alliance treaty with the Rexian Empire. Cameras flashed, speeches were made, and history was written. But the moment everyone would remember came afterward when the formal part was over. Commander Zarthul removed his ceremonial armor, leaving just a simple tunic, and sat on the grass. He took out the special stick and threw it for Rusty, who bounded after it joyfully. Soon, other Rexians joined in. Some threw the stick, others just petted Rusty when he came near them. Jack stood with Director Gray, watching the scene with amazement. If someone had told me a week ago that alien diplomacy would involve playing fetch, I'd have thought they were crazy, Jack said. "Director," Gray smiled. "Sometimes the simplest connections are the strongest. You and Rusty showed them something they'd never seen before. Friendship across species boundaries. That's humanity's real strength, isn't it? Not our technology or our weapons, but our capacity to form bonds." 3 months later, Jack was back in his cabin in Montana. Life had mostly returned to normal, though normal now included occasional visits from Rexian scientists who were studying Earth's animals and the concept of pets. Jack sat on his porch watching Rusty chase butterflies in the yard. The dog wore his special Rexian collar, which glowed softly with a blue light indicating perfect health. A car pulled up the dirt road, a government vehicle. Director Gray stepped out, smiling as she approached. "How's our hero doing?" she asked, bending down to pet Rusty, who greeted her enthusiastically. "Which one of us do you mean?" Jack asked with a grin. "Both of you, obviously," she replied, sitting beside Jack on the porch steps. "I have news. The cultural exchange program is going even better than expected. 20 Rexian families have adopted dogs from Earth shelters. They're learning about companionship, play, and unconditional love, concepts that were foreign to them before." Jack nodded, watching Rusty roll in the grass. "And what are we learning from them?" "Advanced medicine, clean energy technology, space travel improvements," Director Gray listed. "Their technology is helping us solve problems we've struggled with for decades. But more importantly, they're teaching us to look at the universe differently, to see it as larger and more diverse than we ever imagined." Jack thought about how his simple life had changed the course of human history, all because of a misunderstanding about his friendly dog. "You know what's funny?" he said. "The aliens came looking for our greatest weapon, our beast, and instead, they found our greatest strength." "Which is?" Director Gray asked. Jack smiled as Rusty bounded back to the porch carrying his special self-returning stick, his eyes full of joy and love. "Friendship," Jack said simply. "The ability to care about someone different from yourself, to find family not just in your own kind, but wherever love exists." Rusty dropped the stick at Jack's feet, ready for another throw, another game, another moment of shared happiness. And Jack, as always, was happy to oblige. After all, that's what friends are for. The end.